This
the rest
conference will now be recorded.
today. Work center and how it becomes a resource we have to see, and then without SIF how a production version and uh, BOM and routing through production version, how that gets converted to PDS in the same box we'll see, and then we'll also see some resource or work center parameters, and then uh, we have to see high level SIF. Will not be very extensive in SIF like I always do in APO system, because here it's less. It's just good to know only. You don't have to be expert when you're a S4 runner. So it won't be an extended session. And we'll see to it today we cover SIF so that we can move on next week. We can start master data in S4 PPDS. Yeah. See, the transaction is still again the same CR01 for any discrete industry, CRC1 for process industry. So nothing has changed. Okay. So please everyone mute yourself. Again, I'll give something starting with F so that we identify. I'll say, so we need to create two work centers, right? Because one for producing finished goods, one for producing semi-finished goods. So the plant and then FWC1 is one machine I want. And that work center should be a machine. And when you go inside, you have the basic data. So I was telling you MRP controller in the product master, which is not actually mapped to the production planner. So some places, what they do is this field is not actually as in standard SAP. This field is not mapped, and some places I've seen they've actually got it mapped to production planner. If you have only one capacity, then there's another field I'll show you, which is anyway connected to production planner. So then you can ignore this person responsible. Yeah, it's more for PCC. And then you don't need location supplier. This is only when you have Kanban and all, you need to define all this. So for us, it's not required. Usage, it's always good to use 009 because it can be used for all the applications. Yeah, all task list types. And then standard value key. So standard value key defines what are the activities that you do on this machine. You have to do setup activity, you have to do production activity, or there could be multiple operations where you do setup, you do grinding, milling, turning. So you can keep on having different activities, and then every activity can be defined by some time, so that PPDS will actually take those activities for capacity requirements and scheduling requirements. Now, as standard, you can have a maximum of 6 activities, and SAP do not recommend to have more than 6 activities, or if you can have, but not recommended, because they are programs, when it comes to capacity planning. Actually, in terms of performance, it's not a best practice to have more than 6. So if you really have more than 6 activities, you can actually add an operation instead of adding an activity. Okay, so that is what SAP recommends. So standard will take we'll actually see this. What if you want to have a different set of activities? See, SAP 1 gives you the standard. Uh, just a minute. The standard activities, that is your setup here. So this is derived based on SAP 1. So you want to actually have different names, then you have to create a standard value key of your own, say ZAP one, whatever you want, and then you can name your activities here, and that needs to be assigned to the work center. So the moment you assign standard value key to the machine, here there's something called default values. Default values are wherever this work center is, where we use, either we use in uh, routing. Yeah, so some of the default values, see directly this standard value key came here, and what is that you want to default? I want to default say minutes in our routing or recipe directly. You don't have to define anything there. These are all default values. And here there's an indicator. If you click this, when you go to routing, by default, the control key will be PP01. So what is PP01? So for a PPDS consultant, how much this is relevant? So you should actually go and see what PP01 is all about. Every control key has this detailed information of what it can do. This control key can be used for scheduling, can be used for determining capacity requirements. So only these two are important for PPDS. Rest are not relevant. Automatic GR, this for QM, this for rework order, for this for execution, print confirmation. Everything else is execution only. But for planning, capacity requirements, scheduling, you need these two. So here I said PP01. Let's see what PP01 has. See, click on this one and then say detailed information. So it'll show you here. These things are there, but what is important for us is these two. Okay, so make sure the control key that you use always has scheduling and determined capacity requirements at least, so that you can use this for planning and scheduling. Okay, and see there are other fields, HR department. They will use if it's a labor capacity. All this wage type, wage group, all these things will be used by them. So for planning, we don't need anything else. We just need to know what is the control key, PP01. Okay, then we have to go to capacities. In capacities, um, you can have multiple capacity categories. So if I have machine, then you can also have a capacity called mission. Sorry, a labor. But in PPDS, you tell me whether it's required. No, it's not required. We don't actually, unless if someone wants, practically thinking, you don't really do scheduling for a person, labor. But in ECC, a machine can be used for various reasons, right? A labor capacity is used to determine the hours they work, for the costing purposes, and also they it makes sense to have more number of capacities. For PPDS, only one is enough. So give capacity category as 001. Setup formula, we'll talk about this in detail. I'll just give SAP 005 and SAP 006. What is this? We'll see. So the moment you hit enter, it will take you to another screen where we define our production planner. So I was talking about the straightforward field mapping for capacity responsible is our production planner there. Okay, so you don't need to do anything as long as you have this aligned. 001 is there in S4 also. And if you don't have, if you want to create something like Z001 or whatever, you will have to configure that in S4. Okay, right. What's happening? Capacity utilization is 100%. Number of individual capacity is 1. Capacity base unit is hours. Factory calendar is, let me go back. There are a few things that we have to discuss here. So let me give the factory calendar, a German factory calendar, which is 01. Active version. We'll give it as 3. I'll tell you why I've given 3 in some time. Right. So here, the standard available capacity. It can be 8 hours a day, 16 hours a day, or 24 hours a day. What I suggest, recommend best practice is to open your work center for 24 hours a day. If at all you don't work a second shift or third shift, you get a lot of flexibility. And if you have 24 hours open, you can decide, right? But you can control that based on the way you have defined the shift pattern. Okay, so leave it 24 hours. I'll show you if you need to work only 20 hours a day, 16 hours a day, everything is controlled in APO without changing this. This is always open. Okay. Length breaks, I will not give anything. I'm opening my machine for 24 hours without defining any break here, because this becomes a random time. In 24 hours, minimum we can have 3 shifts. If you want, you can have more shifts also. There are some countries where a shift is only 6 hours. Okay. Normally 8 hours is a shift. So what in 8 hours you may have 3 breaks, right? You may have one lunch break, a morning break, and afternoon break. Like that, you have a specified time at what time you have breaks. So when you do PPDS, where you do detailed scheduling, you need to know exactly when the break is. If I give 1 hour here or 2 hours here, it doesn't know when exactly 2 hours. Yeah. Hence, I'll not define anything. So in when I finish creating this work center, when we have a session on resource master, most probably next Saturday, then we'll define all this. We'll create patterns, break patterns, shift patterns, sequences, capacity variance, capacity, a profile, shift factors. Yeah, there are many things that we create, and that's how we have to do in PPDS. Okay, and then for now, let it be number of individual capacities as one. Okay, and relevant to finite scaling has to be on. I don't need long-term planning. Yeah, and can be used by several operations. Is only, I think someone asked me, multi-activity resource. If you want this work center to be multi-activity resource, the number of individual capacity has to be more than one, and then this has to be checked. Only then your work center becomes a multi-activity resource. So to start with, let's start with one. And only in here there is a tab called APO resource. Never go to this. Yeah. So recently there was a interview that I took, and in S4 HANA, that guy said told me that this is required. Actually, it's not. Okay. So this is an old tab. Even when S4 HANA is connected to APO, okay, only then you need this. If your machine is, if your system is not connected to APO, you don't need it, because here you have lot of not those which are not relevant for S4. Say for example, mixed resource. In S4 HANA, there is nothing called mixed resource. It's there in APO, right? So this tab needs to be activated only if your system is connected to APO. Okay. So these are the things that I ask in interviews. So make sure that you may expect these kind of questions. Yeah. And then formula. So SAP 005 and SAP 006 is the formula that I've defined. If you click on formula here, what is SAP 005? It says setup into operation splits. Okay, where is setup time? Setup time is in routing. We define. So operation splits is also in routing. Okay. Hence, whenever how system determines the capacity requirement for doing setup, it will go and look at the setup time in the routing, and it will go and check whether there are any splits. What is splits? Splits is nothing but, say for example, you have 100 pieces, your base quantity is 100. Okay, so you say to produce 100, I need 15 minutes for setup time, machine time, everything we define. And on top of that, you'll say this 100 can be split by I can only do 25 at a time. I need to have 4 splits. So this you can define in routing. I'll show you. When you have 4 splits, then your setup time gets multiplied. So if you have defined 10 minutes, it will say 40 minutes is what you need to set up the machine, because you are splitting it by 4. Okay, so that is operation splits. And then if you go to what SAP 006, this will be machine time into operation quantity by base quantity. See, like I told you in the previous session, that it doesn't have to be always this. I think the guys in the session, PP consultants, know better than me, because I worked on this very long time back. Um, they can acknowledge that no client will agree to this formula. They will have similar to this. The output could be very much similar, but still they don't agree. They'll have their own way. No problem. You have to just ask them, okay, give me your formula. I'll map it for you. Okay, so and I'll show you how to do it also. So this capacity requirements for machine time, they say machine time, which is there in the routing, multiplied by operation quantity. Time is 10 minutes for base quantity of 100 and operation quantity is 200. Okay, so it will be 20 minutes by base quantity. So machine time is 15 minutes. Okay, into operation quantity. Yeah, operation quantity could be 500 divided by base, because your time is calculated based on base quantity. You always say, I need the 60 minutes to produce 100 cases. Yeah. So you have operation quantity of 500. So you multiplied by operation quantity divided by base gives you what is the machine time required. That's all. Very straightforward. Um, and you can, when you actually when you define some formula, I'll show you how to in a while. You can also come and test here. Okay, see, you can say my operation quantity is say 500 eaches, and base quantity is 100. Okay, and my machine is 10 minutes. Okay, calculate. So it gives you exactly what is the time required. So setup requirement 0 because I've not given it. Processing time, it says 0.833 hours. You know why it is showing in hours? Because in the capacity parameters, I said the unit should be always in hours. Okay, hence it is calculating in hours and giving it's um, so you can actually test here, and you can show your counterpart that whether they're okay with the output, and then you can sign off. Okay, and the PPDS takes all this. In resource master, you don't have all the fields, but um, uh, once the work center is converted to a resource, it inherits all the values, though you don't see it. Before I go to scheduling, one thing that I have to show you, okay, it doesn't allow me. Again, I have to give capacity category, which is 001, and setup duration. This is again a formula, a different formula. So this is for scheduling. Okay, here, basic data, there is a field called advanced planning here. Okay, so the moment you check this, your work center and save, work center is becomes a uh, machine. Okay, and what is your capacity category? 001. So if I go back to Excel, see in ECC S4, yeah. If your work center name is this, in plant 1000 or 0003, work center and plant. In S4, what happens is plant anyway becomes same. Plant doesn't change. Just a minute. It looks very odd when I give 3. So let's okay. So in S4, that when this FWC1 gets published as a resource, it'll have a prefix of W, so that you understand that this was not created directly. Today I'll show you how to create also after this. you can actually create your own machine. It could be handling unit, could be anything. Okay, you can directly create, but there you'll not have a prefix W. So W indicates that this is coming from ECC. Okay, and then your name of the work center, then you have underscore, then you need to know what is the capacity category. 001 is the capacity category where in this plant. So the name itself will tell you that you know this itself is enough. Okay, this has come from ECC, and this is a capacity category, machine category capacity, and this belongs to plant 003 or 0003, whatever. Okay, so now my expectation is the moment I save, the work center should become like this. Okay, so I have checked advanced planning, save it. Okay, what is the transaction code? Is RES1.
01.
Yeah. Okay, so here you say W, F, WC, star. So if there is anything, it will come up. Mm, this is 001, 0003. Yeah. See, it will not allow you to change. And in the APO resource master, you would have seen single activity, single mixed, multi activity, multi mixed, and so many here. But here you don't need it. Okay, you'll have a calendar resource. Calendar resource is nothing but you do not a capacity is not considered. It's like a clock. Everything is based on time only, days and time. It doesn't have any capacity requirement. So for that we call calendar resource, and this is how um, uh, it looks like. Okay, because see, it doesn't. I'm in change resource mode, but there is one field that can be changed. Okay, and this 30 and 360. Okay, so how does it come? I'll show you when we talk about default parameters, and factory calendar has come. So we have a session on this, right? So we'll go through all the fields. Here I'm only seeing that this is it's dependent on S4 HANA PPDS setup matrix. Okay, hence this field is open because we have to create a matrix and assign it. We cannot assign it in the machine in ECC, and hence this field is open, and all these fields are open. Definitions, capacity profile, see, everything is open. So we'll be creating all this when we get to resource master. Now we need actually one more. I go back and FWC2. This is for FG. The FC2 is for SFG. So we can actually copy the first one, FWC1. And I don't classification will be talking about this. Yeah, we have a session on classification. So right now we don't need it. Default values, capacities, and the reason why I don't copy until scheduling, because if I copy until scheduling, then it takes me to costing tab. So when it takes me to costing tab, it allows me to maintain profit center, cost center, which doesn't align with the standard. So hence I copy till capacities, and then scheduling I maintain my own. You all didn't ask me what are all this. Okay, so these are all interoperation times, which I'll talk anyway. Interoperation time is nothing but you have multiple operations on one work center. Okay, you can definitely you can, or you can have multiple operation in multiple machines, irrespective of which machine you use. You always have times in between operations, right? See, think about a scenario where you have two different work centers, where you have um, you have finished all the operations, all the activities in machine one, and then you have to start your activities in machine two. So while you do that, it cannot happen immediately, right? You will have to unload your job from the machine. You will have to put it on the trolley. You have to move it to where the machine is. As soon as you go, the operator will say, put it there. I need 30 minutes. You'll have wait time, you have move time, you have queue time. Yeah, all there are various interoperation times. Those times needs to be given here. Okay. Um, I've also seen where some places where they have actually created some dummy work centers with some time so that these interoperation times are calculated. Who have People who don't know this, they have done. PP consultants go, and when the requirement comes, they'll say, okay, if that is the case, we'll have one more work center in between, a non-value added work center. It doesn't have any cost associated. Dummy operations they create, and then they assign some times there just to calculate the times. But you don't need it. You can have standard queue time and minimum queue time in the machine. If you don't maintain here, you can also maintain in the routing. There you have more options. Okay, and hence I didn't show because that is the best place to maintain. And I want to go to basic data, advanced planning here. All right, so now we will see both the, yeah. So let's see how whether it allows you to create a resource. Um, See this is grayed out. Okay, no resource form. That's the challenge we have. Yeah. So when we have to create a resource which is specific to S4, it doesn't allow because this feed is grayed out. Now, how to do it? I'll show when we come to GR processing time and all. I'll show you how to do it. Okay. Um, we have got a bomb. We have got two machines, one for finished goods and semi-finished goods. We have to create routing now. CA01. And after routing, I'll show you, or I'll show you straight away. SPRO. Uh, See here also you have advanced planning. You have let me scroll down. You have production here, right? And you have advanced planning. All the configuration related to PPDS will be done here. Okay. So for now we don't need it. We need production only. We go to production and we go to capacity requirements, master data, work center data, and you also have routing data. These are formulas. This is standard value key. So standard value key, you have click this. So I told you that SAP 01 has setup, machine, labor. And I also told you that 6 activities, that's it. Correct? See, you have only 6 activities. You don't have more than that. And the moment I gave SAP1 in the work center, it immediately determined 3 activities. Why? It's because of this. And if you have anything more than this, you can. Yeah, but that needs to be created. You can copy this and you can have your own activities. So from where that activities will come, I'll show you. See here, define parameters. The one you just saw for setup SAP here, SAP underscore 3, it's labor time. SAP underscore 01, it's setup time. If you double click, there is nothing. It's just a description. Yeah. So like this, you can create ZAP underscore 1. You can create your own. Yeah. I have done many times. Just say annealing, blending, mixing, whatever activity. You can just go and name whatever you want. Okay. So for everything, you need to define a parameter. And when it comes to formula, it's easy, right? You say SAP underscore 01 into multiplied by SAP underscore 02. And for base quantity, you'll have to see a base quantity, SAP underscore 08. That's it. Formula is done. So where to define that formula? So you understood, right? First, you need to create parameters, whatever parameters that you want to define. And then you have to create a standard value key and you have to assign all the parameters to that. And then comes your formula. How it gets calculated for capacity requirements and scheduling requirements. Go to operations. In operations, available capacity is it formulas? Yeah. So define formula parameters. All the formula parameters here. The one you just saw there, the same thing is here. Okay. If you go to this one, and in the work center, we defined what SAP 001, 002, 005, and 006. Right? Go to 006. This is the formula. And I showed you this we defined as a parameter, and that was assigned to standard value key. Yeah, and then here we come and take all those parameters and we define. It's just plus minus into divided by, and you saw base quantity. This is SAP underscore 0. It is a base quantity. This is the what is it? Operation quantity. This is machine quantity. Machine quantity into operation quantity by base quantity is the formula. So it's so easy. So here when you actually in the initial when during blueprint phase when you define the naming, what exactly they want, they'll have their own ways of calculating scheduling and power capacity requirements. You have to just take that formula and then you have to configure, and then in the work center I showed you how to simulate and show them the output. That also can be done. Okay. And then
Sanjay, quick question.
mhm.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
So Sanjay, could you please go back to the operation screen? You said we can only have a maximum of 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quick question there. For any reason, if the client wants more than 6, and suppose we are trying to group a couple of parameters into one, so does that cause a problem when we run the algorithms like heuristics? For example, if we don't maintain setup and machine separately, but combine them into one value so that we can accommodate the seventh value, will that cause a problem, or do we need these three at least as a minimum?
No, nothing like that. One is enough. Yeah, one is enough. Why
Okay,
I'm saying this is a configuration. So have 3 or 4 up to 6 you can have. In the routing, don't maintain, leave it blank.
okay,
Yeah, tomorrow if there is any requirement, you can put some time, but don't define only one, because when you define only one and go to routing, and you will see only one activity there. So let all the 6 activities be there, and if you have clubbed multiple activities into one, give the time only for that.
okay. So the system doesn't necessarily has to look for all these components, right? It can just take it at a
No,
header
no,
level and get the values from.
Yeah, because this is what we have defined in the formula. So which if you have defined one time only in the routing, though you have three, for time calculation, it will go and look at the formula that you have defined, where you would have defined SAP underscore multiplied by whatever. It looks at that and determines the time.
Got it, got it. So even if you maintain 6, but for calculation, if you only use 2, which
Yeah.
it will still go ahead, I guess.
Yeah, as long as your formula can read those values, it's enough.
Right. Got it, got it. Thank you.
No problem. So we have to go to routing, and here we have to create f hyphen fg1 as my material. Hit enter. Stay nothing different. Same screen. Everything usage is 1, which is production. Overall status is 4. Yeah, nothing else is required for planning. All this for QC and all those things you want. If in ECC we use parallel sequence, alternate sequence, for all those you need sequences. Yeah, and interviews people may ask you whether alternate sequence is supported in PPDS. Yes, yeah, you say yes, it supports. Okay, and in how it supports, how do we manage in planning and scheduling? I'll show you. We have a classification, and the classification is nothing but if you have alternate sequence, how your system works, exactly what we do in our classification. I'll show you how to create modes, how to prioritize. I have an alternate sequence, right? It's not always one way of reducing. I have another sequence. If now I have to decide between with a sequence 1 and sequence 2, which one to take. So then you need to prioritize which system should take while planning. And later, if you have a different sequence to be followed for various reasons, you can actually schedule to the second sequence. Manually, you can do. System by automatically also system can do. Both I'll show you, manually and automatically, when we get to this sequencing. Okay, that is classification. So for now, we need only operations. Yeah. So here I say f hyphen not hyphen wc1. Okay, hit enter. The moment I hit enter, you saw that pp01 came by itself. Minutes came by itself. Why? Because in the if you double click it, um, default values. See here we have checked this pp01 and the minutes is there. This is nothing but default value. So immediately when you create a routing, all these values will get. Like I told you, right, in the class we have classification session. So there I'll show you all this. Yeah, how to call a classification and all those things. Right now we don't need it. And base quantity, let it be a little bit higher. One is too less to determine time. So I'll say to produce 100 eaches, I need say 10 minutes of setup time, around 70 minutes of um, machine time. See, I don't need labor time. Like I don't know who asked the question. Here I still have labor time, but I don't maintain because my formulas will calculate my setup time and machine time. Even though it is here, I don't maintain anything there. Okay, I'll say FG production. Double click it. I was talking about splits. There are a few things which is important. Let's see that. Um, base quantity. Yeah, you saw setup. These things we maintain, so we don't have to look at it. And then there are a few things that are required for planning. One is the splits. Yeah, splitting required. If you need um, splitting, you can say number of splits. I told you 4, 5, 6, whatever. But if the quantity, say for example, my split is 25 each. If it is no, if you say 4 splits every time based on the requirement, it will divide by 4. Here you can say minimum processing time. Okay, so if minimum processing time is only 10 minutes or 15 minutes, the split will not work only. Okay, it will ignore the split. So if you need split, you have to check this. If you don't check this, our formula caters to both. If the split is required, if you maintain the split, our formula will still calculate the splits. If it is not maintained, it's still okay. You don't have to do any changes to the formula, and hence that formula that we created should accommodate split also. In future, someone may goes and maintains splits, your formula should be able to calculate those splits also. Okay, and then now we are talking about splitting an operation to calculate setup time and machine time. Now, um, there are, say for example, two operations, and one operation is running and it ends, say for example, operation starts at 10 o'clock and ends at 11 o'clock, and 15 minutes before you can actually start the second operation. You don't actually have to wait till the first operation finishes. Yeah, so you can introduce overlapping also. Okay, so if you say I need overlapping, you have to say I require overlapping. This is at a operation level. Okay, and here you can say minimum overlap time. Yeah, and then you should also define minimum send ahead quantity. Okay, minimum send ahead quantity is, if my quantity is 500, you should finish at least 100 before you overlap. Yeah, because the second operation cannot start without 100 pieces. Yeah, so until then your operations will not overlap. So you can define either of this. Okay, scrap we can give. I don't think you can actually give here, but normally um, we define scrap in the BOM, right, at a material level. If you have any operation scrap, you can define here, and in the BOM you have seen it will say consider operation scrap in the BOM, right? So if that has to consider your operation scrap, you have to define at the operation level what is the scrap. All this is for HR, I told you already. Yeah, and the one field which is important after this is you don't need when we come to subcontracting, I'll show you so things that are related to subcontracting. But what we want here is set up group. Okay, let me save this first without maintaining, because we have to create. I'll create a dummy setup group because we have an extended session on setup group, setup keys, setup matrix. Yeah, where I'll be creating multiple setup groups, multiple products. So now for you to just show the integration, I'll create one setup matrix, setup group slash in OP43. So this is the configuration, whereas setup groups is a master data in S4. Okay, we call it application specific master data. So, hence, and in the older, like in APO, you can actually create setup groups in APO, but here in S4 you cannot. It has to be always from ECC, and they've not given an option of creation. Okay, so new entries, let's say 0003, I'll say dummy setup, save it. CA02, okay, F-FG1, go back, double click, here, I assign, okay, and you'll see that now when I when I send my PDS to APO, PDS will go, setup group will not go. Why? Because setup group is not there in S4 yet. So we have to send setup group there, and then only we have to send the routing. So let's create one more routing. So don't give group, because if you give group, it will create one more group counter. So let's create a new group for this. Usage is production. It's released. Operation. Work center is 2. Hit enter. Everything gets does not exist. Maybe this dot. Okay, so values will get defaulted, and here I say SFG production. Very strange. My laptop, the insert key, I'm not able to find. Okay, SFG production. Again, my base quantity is 100, and I'll say 15 minutes is my setup time, and then I'll say 45 minutes is my run time. Here I don't define any setup group. Setup group, setup key, setup matrix are always defined at a level where you need changeovers, not at every level. Okay. So hence we define only the finish goods level. So we go to CIF now, CFM1. Okay. I have a session after I CIF my PDS and all. I'll get back to CIF. But now I'm only trying to send the setup group. So in CIF, normally you should not have a duplicate entry. So hence I'll go and see which, because setup groups is at a plant level, not at a group level. So we have to find out, is there anything already for setup groups? I'll come to all this transaction detail in a while, but here I'm only trying to sift um, 0003. So there is one integration model already created by me, which has the setup group. So I go to CFM 2. Yeah. What did I see there? I saw it as setup. Okay. What I'm doing now is not the best practice, because it's something that I'm doing. I'm not teaching you anything. Yeah. Uh, when I teach, I'll actually show you what are the best practice already being used in a setup group. In my previous batch also, setup groups created some problem. It was not straightforward. So let's see what happens. Okay, so the transaction code for that is /n/SAP CDP SC6. Yep, the dummy is here already. Okay, the one that we created, dummy is already here. This is what I was saying. You don't have the luxury of creating setup groups directly, which we had in APO before. Okay, so there was I think the couple of guys from Coca-Cola here in this batch. If you had seen PPDS screen there in Coca-Cola, what they do is they create um, uh, setup groups directly in APO. Okay, and then they follow the other way around, because APO to ECC you don't have CIF, right? It's a ECC to APO. So what they do is they create setup groups here through IDOCs. They send the setup groups to ECC, and nightly there's a job which runs. So they lose that luxury if S4HANA is implemented. It's no more there. Why they do that is because Setup groups is a configuration in ECC, but it's a master data in APO. So every time they have a lot of changeovers, bottles to how Coca-Cola operates. So they can't afford to wait for the transport cycle. If today if I want a setup group, I need to create a change request. I have to configure. I need to get approved. It has to go system to system. All this bureaucracy, in change management, it takes weeks sometimes, even if you want one small change, unless it's not an emergency. So hence they directly create here and through setup through from APO, they reverse and they go backwards to ECC. Right. So now setup groups are already in S4. We we can now create production version, because without production version, PDS cannot be created. So we have to go back to MM02 transaction, and we'll start with finished goods. Hit enter. Select only MRP4. Okay, and click on production version. You can say FG. Okay, hit enter. You have to get in and you have to link the routing that we created and the BOM we created for F-FG for the finished goods. So how in ECC system, if you see, you'll have more. You'll have three different for rough cut planning, for detailed planning. So here you don't have connectivity with the APO normally. Here they've given only one option, which is detailed planning. You can link your routing here, and then you have to link your group, the routing group that you created just now. So this is the routing group and group counter we created and the BOM. So basically I'm linking my routing and BOM to production version for this material. Other things at this stage not required. Distribution key I may use, but not now. Okay. You have to say check, or else and you should see the green lights. Only then this goes successfully. If you don't see green lights here, this will not be successfully converted to PDS. SFG1 and just a minute. All right, so MRP4 again, production version. I'll say F semi-finished goods. Yeah. Go back, link the route and the BOM. What we are linking the route or rate route. This for repetitive manufacturing, rate routing. Master recipe is for PPPI, and for discrete we use routing. And in 2 sessions, block planning and classification, I'll show you the recipe also. So don't worry about it. You're linking the BOM. I didn't click on check. See, if you don't click on check, it gives you yellow lights, and that will not get converted to PDS. Continue and save. So regularly, those who know APO, you know that you must have a SIF integration model to send all this BOM routing production version. So now we are in S4 HANA, we don't need it. Okay, we don't need SIF to send this. We can go to logistics, yeah, production, not even to advanced planning. Go to production straight away, and here you find Master data. Where is it in routing? Where is it? Here it is. Sorry, guys. PDS for advanced planning. This many are there. Okay, one is PDS underscore maint. I'll show later. You can ask me why. This is required only if you want to do some changes in S4. Yeah, not in routing. In S4, you want to do some changes. PDS doesn't allow you to do changes. Hence, you do changes here. So that will we have a session for that. So right now, we need this transaction. This can be used for both creation and for changes. For both, you can use this transaction. You can define a specific version, production version, everything. I told you that you can always filter based on plant specific metal status or metal type, which is X0. Sorry, MRP type, which is X0. Metal type, which could be anything. Yeah. So this only for filtering. Why we need all this is for the background job only. So you don't need to send it like this. Yeah. See, in my case, I'll do like this. I'll say I want to send FG1 and also FG to SFG1, right? F hyphen SFG1. So in real time, you don't give materials. In real time, use in the background job, nightly job, you only give a plant, and if you give at plant level, there'll be lots and lots of material. So you want to filter, right? You'll say, okay, only finished goods in this plant which has metal specific metal status, plant specific metal status as active for this many MRP controllers, and for those metals which has only X0. So this many filters you can give. Okay, this is all for subcontracting. We'll come to that in our subcontracting session. But what is required here is there are two things. One is absolute transfer, one is change transfer. So you have to schedule both. I'll run both and show you now. So first time I'm sending, so I'll say absolute transfer. First time. Yeah, I'll execute. See, successfully created. Okay. So before we see PDS, we'll also see how change transfer works. I'll go to CA02 for this particular material. So the change will not go to PDS immediately. Think that I change this to 75 minutes. Okay, so there is a change. Okay, there is a change. And now this change should go there, right? So for that, we can still use the same transaction. Don't do anything. Just give this. And by default, this will be always change. Yeah, change by default. So you need to set up you have to set up two variants for the background job. One should be absolute. If there is any new production versions created during the day, that will be sent to S4 as PDS. And for those PDS which already had the initial transfer done, and if that had gone through any changes, that needs to be sent to PDS, right? So for that, you need to have a change transfer mode on and execute, and you should get this message. So yeah, successfully transferred and created. Okay, so if there are any changes, you'll get a message like this. If you don't have any changes, you'll say no transfer relevant data. Okay, so it's good to always run this every day, nightly job. So now what we should see, we should see the PDS, right? So where it is, we go to advanced planning. Advanced planning, master data, P production data structure, display production data structure. Okay, see here, you go here. What was that? F hyphen FG1. You might have seen in the past in the PDS screen, you have various others. For CTM, we had one. So we had multiple options here. So now we don't. Okay. So in this session, hey, hang on. Let me just close it. Okay. So this is our PDS. Okay. Let me move it to the top. Product is F-FG1 in location 003. Source of supply is, you might have seen the production version that I created, FFG. Yeah. So what this is, the name of the product in plant 003, the name of the production version is FFG. Yeah. And then you have components. SFG is my component. Okay. And this has validity. We'll come to PDS. In the PDS session, we'll go through all those details. Okay. What I want to show you is this 3600 seconds, which is 10 minutes. Sorry, 60 minutes. Yesterday, you all saw me creating a lead time offset, of 60 minutes. I also explained why it is required. I told you that GR processing time cannot be used because minimum is 1 day in GR time. Yeah. So hence, you can also use lead time offsets in the BOM, and I maintained 60 minutes there, and that is transferred here as minus 3600 seconds. So that is all I wanted to show for now. And then go to operations, and it says there is only one operation, and that operation name is FG production. And if you click this, or if you go here, both are same. Yeah, if you click this, it takes you to activities, which is this. Yeah, like this. You can also click on activities, both are same. So in that operation, I have two operations. One is setup operation activity, not operation. In one operation, there are two activities. I was talking just a few minutes ago about 6 different activities you can have. And if you have maintained 6 activities, all the 6 will be shown here, one after the other. So now I have one setup activity, which is saying yes, and then I have production activity. Okay. And for setup activity, see this X, there is a setup group called dummy. The one that I assigned in the routing is shown here. If it is not here, then the setup matrix functionality will not work. Okay, so make sure the setup group that you assigned in the routing operation needs to be here. Okay, and if you click on this one, it will tell you that there is one mode. Yeah, we have a session on mode, so don't worry now. I'll be creating 3 different modes and show you, maybe in very far, at least 4 to 5 sessions later. Yeah, so here I'm only trying to show that in that particular activity. Yeah, so there is a work center. Yeah, FWC1 0003 and capacity category 001. Yeah, duration, variable duration is 0, fixed duration is 600. Yeah, if you look at this one, this will be variable. See, this is variable 4500 seconds. That could be, you have to just convert whatever seconds that is. This is 600. Okay, okay. Why? What is this F and V? Fixed is the formula that we defined, right? Where I have told setup time divided by operation splits, and I don't have operation splits. So that value setup time is constant because it doesn't have any reference, and I'm not told base quantity there. So it's a fixed irrespective of any base quantity, any quantity that you produce. It's 10 minutes. Yeah. Whereas my production operation, is I just changed now, right? 70 minutes or 75 minutes or whatever. That is variable because it the time depends on my base quantity. That's why it's not fixed. Based on my base quantity, you saw that time, right? It's a variable. Okay. Why variable? It's variable because you have a different machine quantity. What is it? Operation quantity. So the formula is machine time that I've defined 75 minutes multiplied by operation quantity divided by base quantity. So because of all this is variable, every time this varies. Okay, hence it falls under variable category. Setup time falls under fixed category. That's it. Okay, so details we'll see in our PDS session. Okay, so now we have transferred material without SIF. We have transferred um, my machines without SIF. We have transferred. Um, there are some transactions in our PDS session. We'll talk about what are the things that you can change directly. If we can change why we need PDS underscore maintenance, all these things we'll see in our PDS session. Okay.
Sir, I have a
Now
question.
also, yeah, definitely.
Is this you showed us that T code which transferred the PPDS PDSs to S4 from ERP? Is it similar to what we had earlier in ECC had called to create when
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
Okay,
You're right. But that one cannot without having an active integration model, you cannot do that
okay, yes,
before.
you're right.
Yeah. So here we don't need an active integration model. You can just send it.
Sure.
Okay. Right. So
So,
I was talking about setup
sorry,
groups.
one more question. What if my production version is locked or something like that? Means, so there will be some kind of scenarios wherein my production version will be locked.
Hmm.
So, will it be okay for this PDS?
Yeah. What do you mean? Okay, when it is locked.
Okay.
Okay, in standard, what happens if it is locked?
No, means MRP doesn't consider that particular production
Yeah.
version.
Same. But if you lock it, the daily batch
Mm-hmm.
job needs to send that information to PDS.
Yes. Okay.
Then
Okay.
in APO planning, it will not consider that.
Mm-hmm. Fine.
If you
Fine.
just lock it and if you don't run the transaction, then the information will not go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Normally locking they do very rarely where they don't want that particular production version to be considered for planning. They use lock functionality. It works same way. The only difference is in SIF, you have to run that karto underscore create, which sends that information. Here you have to run the transaction which I showed as a change transfer.
Okay.
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 So hence you must have um, uh, that batch job setup, daily batch job. Okay. Right. And then I was talking about I showed you setup groups and I just went to the transaction directly. But in our setup group session, I'll show you. Why I'm showing you now is because I was saying that in ECC it's a configuration, in APO it's a master data. Okay, and matrix is always maintained in APO, and that's why you get a new entry screen here, whereas in groups you cannot. The mother for this is ECC system. Yeah. So if you go to setup groups, you don't get to see new entries
Sanjay, quick question.
here.
So will we be discussing the importance of setup group in another session, or?
Oh yeah, we have an extended session on that where we create a matrix. We create five or six groups. We maintain changeovers, times, cost, everything. Yeah, it's
Because we are going with the flow, but not sure if we,
no, now
will
we are
be.
only building.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
So we need to have the basic data setup, right? So then we get into planning, configuration. First, we should have master data. Then we have to configure. Then we have to see planning, and then comes all this function setup matrix.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah. Right. So, uh, like I had said before, in S4 you don't need SIF regularly. There are some one-time activities. Yeah. See, the moment you hit enter, everything disappears. but few things doesn't disappear. That is class and characteristics, setup groups, change time. All these things are, you still need SIF. That is the meaning. Okay. So for these objects, you still need SIF. You can ask me, what about location? Plant. Plant also you need SIF, right? Because plant becomes a location. Yeah. So for that, what you should do? Don't hit enter. Yeah, you go to SIF for CFM1. If there is anything for which you need SIF, you can so yeah, you say plant. You just check it and then maintain the plant, and SIF it will immediately go to AP, S4. It converts to um, location. Okay. So in this system, you have nothing much to learn because you don't need SIF. So what if the system is connected to APO system? Is what we have to see. S4 is not actually in our architecture here. We have actually not uh, created connected to APO. So that's why I'll go to this system. Okay, I'll take you through. Here, if you hit enter, it doesn't disappear because this is actually all these things are mandatory units if for everything. Yeah. So I'll note down the sequence. If your S4 HANA is connected to APO, in what sequence it has to go? Okay. So for that, we can go back to Excel. The sequence of master data transfer to S4 or APO from S4 or from S4 or ECC to APO. Yeah. The first and foremost is plant. Without plant, you cannot send materials. So plant should go every day. That should be the first variant in your batch job. Okay. And then your material. 1 second, huh? A lot of noise. Are you guys getting any noise, background noise, someone talking? Because I'm hearing. Are you guys hearing anything?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
No, Sanjay. No.
Um, because I have people talking here, so I thought of telling them to go to another room. Anyway, right. So plant should go first. Material should go next. Next, you cannot send PDS. You have to send work center. Okay. Then you have to send setup groups. Then you have to send PDS or production version. Okay. If this will have the basic data, then you have to, there should be one integration model for stocks and batches. Then you should have one model for planned order and production order. Then you should have purchase rec and PO in one. Then you should have sales order and ATP check in one integration model. Okay, and then rest is yours. If you need class and characteristics, class and character doesn't depend on anything. It can be any, whereas setup groups depends on. I just showed you, right? When you want to SIF or PDS, the setup group should be already there. It has dependency. Before you send PDS, machine should be already there, or else PDS. So this has dependency, whereas class and characters doesn't have any. So it can be scheduled anytime in any sequence. It can be even in the beginning, absolutely no problem. Okay, and then if you have GATP and all, you may need shipping points. Yeah, you may need ATP customization if you have. This is one-time activity. Those who know GATP knows that this is only one-time activity. And you can send vendor. These are all not sequence dependent. Vendor, customer, purchase info record, there's contracts, scheduling agreement. These things are not sequence dependent. Okay. These are all sequence dependent. Even actually, see, these are all transaction data, right? It can actually be scheduled in any sequence. Okay, so these are all transaction data. These are all master data, but these are all transaction data. You can have different color. No constraints. But these should have, this has to be in sequential, this one. Okay, let's save this. In real time, everything has generation, activation. Generation will only generate the objects. It'll collect all the information what needs to be sent to CIF. So for that we use CFM1. Okay, and we use program remote gen. Okay, for activation there are two transaction codes, CFM2 or CFM3. So CFM2 you can use in the, let me just do it like this. CFM2 for activation. This is program is remote. What is a remote act? AC remote act is CFM2. This is remote AC2. Yeah, I believe this could be either way. I think it's correct. Remote AC2 will see in the system anyway.
Yes.
Okay, so is this correct? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is correct.
Okay. So CFM3 is normally used for background only. Why? I'll show you. This we can use in the foreground. And this normally has to be either foreground or background, doesn't matter. Yeah. Why background is because you have some fields where you say ignore faulty queues. Yeah. Then you also have some good functions here, So you can ignore faulty queues, and also you can activate and deactivate together in the same transaction. This in remote act you cannot do it. Okay, so that's the advantage of this one. Okay, and so when I say activate and reactivate, so this does activation. This one here, these two. So when you every day you generate and activate and generate and activate. So whatever was generated and activated previous day will be inactive, right? So that needs to be cleaned. So that's some housekeeping you have to do. So we have CFM5, CFM7. So where we define, we'll say delete all the inactive integration models and keep at least 7 days of integration model. Something screws up, where this current day's integration model couldn't get activated for various reasons. So you need to have at least last few days. Some clients keep 3 days. Some best practice is 7 days. We keep models in the system. Rest we delete. Yeah. So in CFM7 we can do deletion of integration models. And then we have CFM5, which will filter objects. See in our case where we have stocks related data, and we want to know in which integration model for a given material, in which integration model we have stocks related information. So that filters. Yeah, it's called filtering. So these are the high level. So if you go to PPDS SIF contact, I have put all these programs here. Okay, so quickly we'll see those. We can say for testing in the test environment, say your regression system, your pre-production system, whatever you call quality system, you don't really have to follow the best practice. Maybe normally, okay, pre-production at least they may expect you to follow the best practice. So I would normally, prefix I'll give master data MD like this, and I say plant. Yeah, and I send only plant related data, or I'll say material. Yeah, and I give all those selections, or I'll say uh, transaction data, and I'll say stock hyphen batch, something like that. Yeah, so it all depends what kind of model name and application you can give. You can say TD stock and batches, and you can say application is what you can say stocks, sales orders, like that. API application can be anything. I sometimes give both same. Yeah, this is my way of doing it. I give model name same, I give application same, and my variant also same. So tomorrow, if I have to go to that particular model for a plant, yeah, I just go to the variant and give that name. So immediately it picks that. If you give different model name and different variant name, it becomes so difficult to identify which model that you are looking for. Yeah. So hence this is my way of doing. It's up to you how we want to do it. Okay. So if you want to do everything, you can say CF is what we are following now. We say all, and we want to send it to APO logical system. Yeah. APO client 800, and we can say and select material, ATP check, PDS, storage location stock, sales orders, planned orders, production orders, POs and PREX, batches. Yeah, so all these things you can have in one. You can take any material, or if you take, see, I have created so many variants these days while I was teaching APO. If you need to remove all this, come on. I think it's
I have
working.
a question here.
Okay.
Uh,
Sorry. This is recently we formatted the system. My old setting, my old master data, everything is vanished. Yeah. So recently we actually reinstalled. Okay, I can't even take anything now. Yeah, I wanted to show something which is already there because of you know if something happened, all the data wiped off. Okay, so I don't actually go and create everything just to show. What we can do is um, say 1000 FRT MRP type X0, like I had selected before. PDS also will be too much. Let's say storage location, stocks, sales orders, land orders, production orders, POs and PRX. Yeah. So save it.
a question here, because the materials and
Yeah.
plants are not altered on a daily basis, we still need to transfer on it on a daily basis.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
repetition
because
and elements I can understand. Yeah, go ahead, please.
no. See, you're not sending it once again. This is only a selection. So today you have say 100 products. You're sending it for the first time. Okay. Tomorrow you're not sending it again. You're running the background job. So that integration model will only look if there is anything new. Think that 3 new materials have come or 1 new material has come in the system in this selection. So literally the initial load will be only for that one material. The rest it's already there. It's a delta transfer every day.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So you don't actually have to send everything every day. So now it is huge 89 materials that plant has. Okay. And if you click on this one, you can see all the materials. Okay. So this many materials are there. See, you can save or you can generate. Both does the same thing. This is remote gen. What I'm doing is remote gen. Okay. And then I was telling you CFM. Let's take some materials. Let's say TF200. So we save it. We say okay. CFM2. See here you don't have options. Yeah, there's nothing. So this can be used for foreground. Select this. Select this. Yeah. This is the new status. This is remote act 2 or remote act. Okay, where all the objects will be sent to APO. Because of the volume, it could take some time. And the other reason is we are running it for the first time because this is newly formatted. It's a system where we don't have any newly created data. It's a fresh IDS system.
So in the real scenario, do we have a cases like we have a PPDS S4 without APO? Is that possible?
You don't need this. No. Your question is you have
We
a
have
S4
only
without
S4.
APO?
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah, definitely. See, any new implementations that are going, it's only S4 implementations where they start using PPDS for advanced planning. Yeah, they never had
Okay.
APO. And some clients are actually slowly moving out of APO and introducing IBP for supply planning, distribution planning, demand planning. So
Okay.
those clients, until they completely phase out APO, they're still using APO. They connect from S4. Once they phase out
Okay.
from APO, they disconnect all the SIF and everything.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this case is old schools when they have an SVA system and they are newly integrating with S4. Yeah.
Yeah. If any new implementations without APO, you don't need SIF at all.
Okay. Clear.
Okay. So it says connection to live cache failed. So let's see in APO what is the scenario. LC10. So here we say LCA. This is basis activity, so you don't really have to worry about this. Do you want to branch? Yeah, in administration, operating. Here you can say start live cache. See, in the demo session, I was talking about um, order series, time series objects, right? And I also told you that live cache has tables only for master data, and for transaction data, it doesn't have tables. So we have a BAPIs for everything where it reads data from live cache. How it in which format it is stored, I don't know. It's too technical for us to know, but it definitely not in the form of tables. So now what it is doing when I actually activated the SIF, it is trying to publish all the materials, everything to APO system in tables, matkey, matlog. There are many tables. Because live cache is off, it's not turned on, it failed. Okay, it gave me a message that live cache is not active. Hence, I'm starting live cache, and then we'll have to reprocess those. Okay, so then it should publish all the data to APO. And this will never be off in real time.
Sorry, Sanjay. How about in S4 HANA, this live cache also will be
same.
active? Okay, same.
Yeah.
Because of one system I'm asking. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, one system also. The S4 HANA objects are stored in live cache only.
Okay.
In the demo, there was someone asking what is MD01 and all. It's given MD01N. Transaction is introduced in S4 HANA where you run MRP also using MD01N. It's they say real time you can run many times in a day you can run because it's faster because of live cache.
Okay, got it. Okay. So that's why I mean normal S4 HANA without PPDS also can use live cache and normal MRP.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to use MD01N for that.
One N. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's green. Let's say ignore and see what happens. Okay, cancel it. Yeah, so we'll have to redo it. Okay, so what we have to do is let's go to, it's good that these things are happening so that I can still see queue is the queue manager. See here when I did initial transfer, you have this error. So you can straight away delete this. So this is used only to.
So will we have this similar queue manager in S4 also, because there are some objects like location which you have to sift,
Yeah.
right?
You have SMQ to everything.
Okay, sure.
Recently, someone contacted me and they said that they're getting some transaction data related errors for stocks and sales orders in S4. So I have to actually look at their system. Very surprising, because why would sales order and stocks will have errors? Because we are talking about the same system. We're not integrating. So hence, and they also told me that it's the same system, and they're still getting SIF errors for sales orders and stocks. Yeah, which I doubt, maybe some misunderstanding, but yeah, those objects which we SIF, like location, setup groups and all, you still need SMQ2, SMQ1, all this. And some transactions, while this is running, we can see. So this one you saw. So we have a transaction called SMQ2, which tracks only inbound queues. SMQ2. Yeah. So this is inbound. If there are any errors in inbound, you can see here. Right now we don't have. And if you have any outbound queues, you can see in SMQ1. Okay. And this is in I'm actually in APU system now, right? In ECC system also, see, this is done. So everything is shift to APU.
Sanjay,
right? So in this is, yeah, sure.
Normally in normal APO we have configuration settings now, prerequisites for SIF like NDV2, CFC1, CFC2. Do we need to configure those here also?
No, that is not a function. Those are bases, right? Only
Normal.
CFC9 is ours. These things we don't touch on. These are all basis will do. You still need it because we still need some master data which still needs SIF. So these are still required.
Okay.
But for functional consultants, only CFC 9 is required.
All
Only
right, but
this.
we have to cross check now when something goes wrong, when something not checking. So, is there any
No.
particular settings for PPDS?
I'll tell you, be it ECC, APO, or S4. For a PPDS or for S4 HANA consultant, all you need to know is one transaction called sale. Okay, you have to
Okay.
just go and check logical systems. Yeah, whether the logical systems are assigned to it, and there is one more transaction called SM59 or 29. Yeah, SM59 ABAP connections. Yeah, and you have to pick the relevant logical system here. Say, for example, APO client 800. Yeah, so here you should have all the user ID and all those things. And if you click on remote log on, it should take you to APO normally. Yeah, if the connection is done properly, it should take you to the respective system. Other than that, everything, this is only for checking. Even to do this also, you'll not have access in pre-production and production system in your live system. It's only basis who will do. Yeah, and the other transactions are what is that? SMQ. Yeah, this one SMQR, SMQS. SMQR, this should be registered. I said this should be R. CF star. Anything which comes from CIF will have a prefix of CF. You have to only see whether this R is there or not. This is active. Yeah, means registered. Okay. This is SMQR. R is in the receiving system. In the sending system, you have to say SMQ. Yes. Okay. See APO client. This should be R.
So
Okay.
these are all
And then
common for any module. Like, okay, understood.
yeah, these are all things you need to know, but basis will take care. And why you need all this is think that there is a maintenance going on in APO. You don't want any transaction data from ECC to come to APO. Okay, you want to close the gates. So how will you do it? You want to close the gates for some time, for 2 or 3 hours. You don't want any transaction data to come from ECC to APO. You don't want anything to go out of APO to ECC for various reasons. Then what we do, we come here and we say, okay, in my receiving system, which is APO, yeah, I'll say I'll deregister. Here you have registration, deregistration. We deregister. So when you deregister, it's like closing the gates. Then there is another transaction, which is OM17. I mean, yeah. So here also you can stop the SIF. So this is one way, but you can lock and unlock users. So you can do various things in this transaction. Okay, you lock and unlock users. Users will not be able to touch anything. They cannot go and work on APO system because they are locked. Okay, and you can stop SIF here directly so that SIF will be deactivated until you start SIF again. So all these things, it's all good to know. It's not mandatory. And then sometimes you'll have inconsistencies. Then you may have to run live cache consistency check. You can say, see here, if you click on product location, then in the bottom, the location tab location field will open up, or else this location will not be there at all. Yeah, see here. So at a particular location, say 1000, which we just shift many, right? So you can go and check whether everything is consistent. So it'll say, okay, selected data is consistent. Yeah, just a minute. Let me turn on. Okay, so what the other thing that I want to show here is CFM 3. Yeah, so I told you, I showed you CFM 2. So here why we use C, it already says it's possible in the background. So in the background job you should always run a CFM 3, wherein you can say ignore faulty queues directly. You know the messages that I got in CFM2 where I was saying ignore and ignore, right? So you don't have to do in the background job, your job will fail if anything comes up. And this indicator will do that by itself. Hence, this needs to be executed in the background. And you can also and deactivate using this. I just activated the integration model. If you want to deactivate the integration model, you can directly select deactivate all versions and it will deactivate that integration model. Very, very dangerous. You should never do it. But if required for some reason, we can do this. Some organizations, they every day they deactivate ppm. Ppm has a lot of inconsistencies even today, and SAP do not support because the ppm is outdated. So hence, if you go to SAP with some problem, they don't support you, but they give you an advice of deactivating and activating every day. Okay, so they use this. First run, they deactivate ppm models. In the second run, they activate ppm models. So for that, I've seen this. If not, you should never use this. Okay, and other thing that I was talking about is CFM5. Okay, so in this case, I want to know this material in which plant, okay, and whether the storage location stock is active or not. Okay, you select. So it says this metal is in 231 plants. That metal is available in so many plants, and stock of that metal is in 4 different plants. Okay, 1000, 2300, 2400, and 2500. So ours is 1000. I want to check whether is there any active integration model for plant 1000. See, it is showing the one we just created. It says that I have created this, created by SAP user, and the integration model name is F-all, application is F-all, and this is active. So this transaction is used to find out for a particular object, for a particular material and plant, whether integration models are active or not. Okay, so I would, in short, I can say to find out which integration model has this, you have to use CFM5, and I spoke about CFM7. Yeah, what we can do is, because it's a brand new system, we may not have anything. Yeah, at a logical system, not at a model level, we can see is there any integration model to be deleted. Okay, see there are so many. Okay, but the thing is, I have actually not selected this. It's wise to always select this so that it shows you only inactive integration model. Okay, it's this housekeeping. You can select all this and say delete. All gone. System is clean now. Okay, and for all this, whatever I just showed, there are programs. SC38. So remote gen is a program which takes you to CFM1. Okay, and remote act will take you to CFM2. Remote act 2 will take you to CFM3, and then remote del will take you to CFM7. Okay, and then there is another program called remote gen. This is only to send your, this is called initial transfer. Initial transfer, you know, I sent many products for the first time. That is initial transfer. and someone just asked me, materials are already there. Why should I run it every day? Yeah. So we run it every day only to pick the delta, the new products which has come on that day. Okay. For the rest, it will be delta. So you can ask me, what is that rest? Think that 100 metals today I sent. Tomorrow there are 3 new metals. 103 metals will be sent, but initial load will be only for 3 metals. For the 100 metals, delta will go. Delta, when I say that you have done some changes to the fields, you increase the GR processing time from 1 to 5. You change the plan delivery time. You change the strategy. So if you have done any changes to those 100 metals, all those will be taken as a delta transfer to AP. Yeah, but if you want to send again 103 products once again to APO, you have to use remote gen. This is called initial transfer. Remodini. Remodini. Okay. So this one will actually, yeah. So there are 3 integration models. So this is ours. If I say start, it will again send all the materials to APU. Okay. Whenever there is inconsistencies, normally for stocks and batches, this is recommended to run only during weekends when business transactions are not happening. Okay, because this will sometimes kill your system because of the volume of products we have. Mainly we do it for stocks and batches. Why? Because stock will be there in APO, batches will not be there. Sometimes batches will be there, the stock will not be aligned. So just to have a good alignment of stock and batches, we run this every Sunday. Yeah, so that when the business starts on Monday, we have a very good aligned system, ECC and APO. And that is the beauty of S4. So we don't have these inconsistencies because it's all in the same system. It's always consistent. Now that if you connect S4 HANA to APO, you once again have all these challenges. Okay, and then there are some programs where you have sales orders, you have created deliveries. Okay, and the deliveries should reduce the demand, right? Because you've already created deliveries or you've done PGI also, post goods issue. That information wouldn't have gone to APO. So in APO, it's an open demand, whereas you already delivered. Yeah. So it increases the inventory unnecessarily. When APO plans, it doesn't know that you have already delivered. It will start planning for it. Okay. So that is the reason every day after business hours, after your sales cutoff will be there every day. If you speak to your customer service, they'll say, even night 8 o'clock is my cutoff. All the deliveries are created, post goods issues are done. Yeah, and billing is done. End of the day, sales cutoff, invoices all done. You have to select that time. After that, you have to run. There is a program that is in APO which actually does checks ECC also. Okay, so that's called SAP APO STR QCR21, I believe. Yeah, this program will be, it will correct your delivery and sales order requirements. So you give the logical system, you can give at a plant level, you can do. Okay, you can check SD order tables. Yeah, if there is any distributive characteristics, right? So when you create if you have a CDP variant configuration, you can actually, and if you have product allocations, you can check that also. So this needs to be executed every day. Please note down, this should never be executed during business hours. Why? This will lock the tables, EKPO, EKKO, VBAP, VBAC, everything, anything which is related to deliveries, because deliveries are created for POs also. Deliveries are created for sales orders. So it locks all the tables and it compares APO and ECC, and then it will align. Okay. So while it does all this, you cannot they'll create priority one tickets because users cannot create POs, they cannot create deliveries, sales orders cannot be executed while this is running. This takes a while based on your selection. If it is one plant, it may take say 15 to 20 minutes. If you're given 10 plants, it goes on and on. So hence, be very careful when you run this transaction. Same thing can be run in ECC also, and that is uh, see, the whole problem here is when you integrate only within the same system, you don't have any inconsistencies here because it's all there. So, but still, SAP has given this program. We recommend this to be executed on a Sunday. Okay, when there is no business transaction. SDR QCR 21. This is in ECC. See, very less selection. This is in ECC. At a plant level, you can go and you can recover sales and delivery. If there is any inconsistency, this will remove. Okay, and then you have um, in APO, if the transaction data is not aligned. Okay, say for example, I was just talking about sales orders and deliveries, right? CCR is not very effective for sales orders and deliveries, and hence we run that SDR QCR 21. But you have POs and PRs, planned orders and process orders, stocks, um, shipments. For a lot of transaction data, the systems will not be aligned. Yeah, so we use widely used a transaction called CCR. So here you can actually uh, define the logical system from where that it needs to align. That is our ECC system. If you hit enter, you can give a plant name and you can say, okay, check production orders whether it's aligned or not. Check planned orders. Check stocks. Yeah, and you can execute. So this will run and run and run and comes up with the result like this. It says everything is consistent. If it's not consistent, it'll say it'll give out a list of products. If you click this plant orders and all, it'll say it's not consistent. Hey, what you have to do, all you have to do is just select and say send to APO, send to R3, delete in APO, delete in R3. You can do it manually. Okay. So this needs to be scheduled in the background. Why? Because the support team will actually do this every day. Yeah, we tell them do it once before the business starts, do once after the business finishes. Okay. The problem is when they try to do it, it takes a lot of time, say 30 minutes or 45 minutes to actually give you the report. So what we normally do is we save the variant with the selection. Okay, and if you scroll down, here there is something called save results. Okay, the moment you say save results, it'll ask you what is the name. You can say stocks for Belgium, stocks for Poland, stocks for us. Some name you can give. And after it has executed, it would have saved the results and you come to office and straight away go to load results of comparison. Call say load results, then you give that name, stocks underscore Australia, whatever you have given, and execute. So the the result will straight away come up on your screen. It doesn't once again go and read between systems. Okay, it comes up on your screen. You take the decision whether you do want to delete in APO, delete in R3, send to APO, or send to R3. Okay, so this reconciliation is done every day. See now, I think you must be realizing why we need S4HANA. Look at the challenges that we have because of core interface. And that is the reason why SIF is eliminated completely in S4. You don't have to do anything. It's just one box. Yeah. So this is one thing that you may have to do if you connect S4HANA to APO system. Okay. And there is another transaction called very important, widely used, CPP. Okay, SIF post processing. So here it's not set up here. The system needs to be set up for this. Only then you can actually go and select the logical system. Uh, the system needs to be set up. So this is SIF post processing in the sense, um, in CCR it gives you all the errors, right? It says when you run CCR, it will show you some 10 different errors which you cannot process for various reasons. So this transaction is used to process those errors. Yeah. And also it gives you detailed explanation of what the error is. In CCR, you'll not understand properly. Yeah. If anyone is having experiencing this in your organization and you want to see the output, let me know. It takes 10 minutes for me to actually set up this logical system. It's a configuration. Huh? It's a big work. You don't need it in S4, okay, because there is no SIF. But if you're in an APO environment, this is required. And a lot of clients don't use this. They still believe a CCR only. They still go with CCR, queue manager, and from there they SMQ2, SMQ1. From there they actually try to find out the issue and they fix. And some clients use SIF post processing. So this is one transaction which is equals to SMQ1, SMQ2, CCR, and CQ. Yeah, it is equal to 4 different transactions. You can do everything in one. Okay, so this is like I said, um, in my PPDS batch, I was actually showing all those things in detail, configuring this and all. So now we don't need it in S4. Like I said, if someone is really looking for this, let me know in one of the sessions and I can do it. Okay, so coming back to, there are some application logs. Okay, say for example, there are some errors, right? Every day you run SIF integration models. There'll be some logs generated. When you run SIF integration models, you run PPDS planning, you do reconciliation. So whatever you do in APO, there'll be logs generated in the system, which keeps increasing day by day, day by day. And you need to, these are called application logs. Application, there are so many applications, right? So there are two transactions. One is SLG1. Yeah, same thing. I think it's C4 or C5, something like that. No, this is for that. That's the SIF processing I was talking about. This for that. C5 or let me check here. See, whatever I've written here, I think without seeing, I'm covering that. C5, yeah. No, C5 is for a different reason. Where is that decode?
C3, sir, I think.
C3. Oh, yeah, right. We tried 4 and 5. Yeah. So C3 and SLG1 both are same. Absolutely, there is no difference between these two. The only thing in C3 is the object SIF SEM is directly selected. Okay. So think that I executed planning and I got an error. Okay. So I have come out of planning screen. So I don't know where to go and check. This is a place where you can go and select the various objects here. Yeah, it's not only SIF. You can check, you know, ATP, sales orders check, various objects here. Okay, so everything can be selected here, and then you can go and check the logs. Say, for example, uh, you finish PPDS planning, and all the results you send it to an external system. How do you send? Through BAPI, right? through you run a program, and when you run a BAPI, you define an object for that, and the data is not going to the external system. Say for example, you must know why. So for that you can select. There is an object called BAPI. See here, AP underscore BAPI communication. So whenever your ABAPer creates this, when he creates a program to collect all the data from APO and publish in an external system, he'll connect that object to this particular object, the program to this. So if it fails, we go to AP underscore BAPI and execute. It'll show me all the logs. You can say sub object, you can say star, and you can define the time exactly at what time. Yeah. And if you know the user, you can give, or at a transaction code level or at a program level, you can execute. Okay. If there are any application logs, it will give like this. See, there is an something which is yellow. So if you double click it, it will show what it is. Message incomplete. Some message like this, you can go and read and fix the issues. Yeah. And these application logs can be deleted also. See, there are some housekeeping programs that are given. This is CIF Delta report, that is CCR, SDR QCR 21, you know. This deletes the logs. Yeah, del log. So all these logs that gets created should be deleted periodically. Slash SAPPO. This deletes log object. I just showed you SIF SCM. Like that, you can give star also. So all the logs, okay, to date, it leaves 7 days from today to date. Rest, whichever outside 26th of January until 26th of January, whatever logs are there, it deletes. It keeps the logs of 7 days. So basis guys will be always asking you how many days of logs you want in the system. So 7 days is recommended. If you want only 2 days of logs, then you have to create a variant and you can set this up also. Okay. So if there is any logs in the system, it says number of deleted logs 37. Logs not deleted 15. Why? That could be because it's within the time frame. Okay. All are very important. These transactions are very, very critical. Yeah. It changes your system performance if you do it periodically. Okay. So pretty much, SIF this corrects metal master. This is not required. Remote any we saw, remote del we saw, remote gen, delta report. Yeah. This one I'm brushing because we need to hit the main things in S4. These are all good to know. You just keep this, and if required, any issues we can discuss. CFC 9 is a very important transaction that takes at least 15-20 minutes. We are already crossed our 2 hours. In next session, I'll start with CFC 9. I need 15 minutes for this transaction, very, very critical transaction. And then we'll move on to product master. Before product master, we need to look at location master timestamp calendars. Next Saturday, it will be CFC 9, 15 minutes. After that, we'll create a timestamp calendar, our own calendar. Then we will go and assign that to our location master, and we'll also see other things in location master. And then we'll go to product master. Product master itself, we need at least 90 minutes. So we'll target that next Saturday. And on Sunday, we have to create all the shift related parameters, like I told you, patterns, break patterns, shift patterns, and all. Very complicated. And then we'll see resource master PDS. So if we do all this next Sunday, alerts, configurations, everything in S4. Okay, let's see next session. We'll target, be ready for 2.5 hours next Saturday and Sunday. So we'll target 2.5 hours, and we'll try to hit planning as soon as possible. Okay, any questions?
Sanjay, will you be sharing these
You are
two
showing
videos for this weekend?
Yeah, Monday I'll send.
Monday you will share. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Shriyam needs to collect all your email IDs and send it to me. And then we have to, it's not easy. This recording needs to be downloaded, change the format, upload it, and then sent. So hence I need at least one day for that. So Monday or early, maximum Tuesday, you'll get all the recordings. This week. From next week onwards, it will be there on Monday.
Okay. Sanjeev, Palani here. Hello.
Hey, Palani.
Sanjeev, this Karto underscore create transfer. This is used. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. So this transaction is used only to transfer the PDS from ECC or S4 HANA to APO. If it is one box, this transaction may not be used. Am I right?
No, it's required. You don't have
Okay.
a transaction called Karto underscore create in S4 HANA. The transaction that I showed you today, in the same
Yes.
transaction, there are two radio buttons. One is absolute, not obsolete, absolute, and change. Yeah. So
Okay.
that if you do the changes during the day in BOM or routing, that in the night it gets updated to PDS if you run that job. Okay.
Okay.
In Karto underscore create, it does the same thing, but it's for an external system. It could
Okay.
be
Right. Okay.
API.
Okay. So if you are doing APO in same S4 HANA, this may not be required. It's one box. Am I right?
Karto underscore create is not required.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right. Anything else? Anybody?
this is Raja. I had a question on the PDS topic. So you said when we have operations split, does the PDS have for the setup of the setup activity? Does it have variable duration? Because you are actually enabling that operation split.
Good question. No, it is still fixed. Just think about split is constant, right? It's a fixed.
Yes.
It can't be 4 times once, 5 times the next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it will be still fixed. On the time when you change the split, you may have a different time in terms of setup time. But when you go with the variable or fixed, setup will be always fixed, irrespective of split, because both are constant value.
Okay. So, but when you enable the splits, it will vary based on the operation quantity. Because
Operation quantity, yeah. Operation quantity, not your base quantity. If it is base quantity, then it becomes variable.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yes. Thank you.
So if you want, when you set up the data this week,
Correct.
if you think that it's contradicting, just try that. Change the splits and execute that transaction, and you'll see for yourself.
Sure, I'll do that. Thank you. Yes.
And let us know. Okay. Anybody else? Cool. Yeah. So you'll get the recording. Try to at least set up the basic data and make sure you have product master and all the master data in S4, so that you can come along the journey with me. Okay. Thanks everyone. Talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sanjeev.
Thanks
Thank
all.
you.
Thanks.